The glass towers of Blackwood Industries pierced the Seattle skyline like crystalline spears, reflecting the amber glow of the setting sun. On the 50th floor, Zara Blackwood stood behind her mahogany desk, her emerald eyes fixed on the quarterly, reports that painted a picture of unprecedented success. At 28, she had built a tech empire that rivaled the greatest corporations on Earth. But tonight something felt different. Her company specialized in advanced communication systems, and lately they had been picking up strange signals. From deep space, signals that defied explanation and sparked curiosity in ways that traditional business never could. "Ms. Blackwood," came a soft voice from the doorway. Zara looked up to see the evening janitor entering with a cleaning cart. The woman was unlike any cleaning staff she had employed before. Tall and graceful with an otherworldly beauty, she moved with a fluid precision that seemed almost too perfect. Her skin held an unusual pale blue undertone that caught the light. Strangely, and her dark hair seemed to shimmer with hidden depths. "You're new," Zara observed, not looking away from her work. "What's your name?" "Nix," the woman replied, her voice carrying a melodic quality that made Zara pause. "I started last week." Zara nodded absently and returned to her reports. She had always prided herself on treating all employees with basic respect, though she had rarely engaged in lengthy conversations with the support staff. Tonight, however, something about this Nix intrigued her. As Nix worked, Zara found herself stealing glances. There was something almost hypnotic about the way she moved, as if she were dancing rather than cleaning. Her movements were too graceful, too precise, like someone who had been trained in arts far beyond janitorial work. "Where are you from?" Zara asked suddenly, surprising herself with the question. Nix paused, her hand hovering over a delicate crystal communication device that sat on Zara's desk. "Very far away," she said softly, "farther than you might imagine." Before Zara could respond, Nix's elbow caught the edge of the crystal device. The precious piece of technology tumbled to the floor, shattering into countless fragments that sparkled. Like fallen stars across the polished marble, the sound seemed to echo through the office like a gunshot. Zara stared at the broken pieces, her mind calculating the cost. The device was a prototype worth more than most people made in a year. It was also irreplaceable, containing weeks of research data that hadn't been backed up. "I'm so sorry, Nix," whispered, dropping to her knees to gather the fragments. Her voice carried genuine anguish, as if the broken device meant more to her than just a costly mistake. Zara felt a familiar coldness settle over her heart. In the business world, there was no room for costly errors, no matter how beautiful or intriguing the person who made them. She had built her empire on precision and reliability, and tolerance for mistakes was a luxury she couldn't afford. "Stand up," Zara said quietly, her voice taking on the sharp edge that had intimidated boardrooms full of powerful men. Nix rose slowly, the broken pieces still clutched in her hands. In the amber light of the setting sun, tears glistened in her. Unusual violet eyes. Ow. They weren't quite human eyes, Zara realized with a start. They held depths that seemed to contain entire galaxies. "That device contained 3 months of research," Zara continued, her tone growing colder. "It was worth more than you'll make in 5 years of employment." "I understand," Nix replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I accept full responsibility. I can work to repay the damage," Zara said firmly. "You're terminated. Effective. Immediately, security will escort you out." The words hung in the air between them like a physical barrier. Zara watched as something flickered across Nix's face, an expression of profound sadness mixed with what looked almost like pity. "I see," Nix said softly. She placed the broken fragments carefully on Zara's desk, arranging them with a reverence that seemed excessive for mere technology. "I had hoped for more time." "Time for what?" Zara asked, though she wasn't sure why she cared. "To understand." Nix replied cryptically, "To learn if humans were ready." Before Zara could ask what she meant, Nix was moving toward the door. She paused at the threshold, her hand resting on the frame. "Ms. Blackwood," she said without turning around. "Sometimes the greatest discoveries come from the most unexpected places, and sometimes the most precious things are broken before we realize their true value." With that, She was gone, leaving Zara alone with the broken crystal and a strange sense that something important had just slipped through her fingers. 20 minutes later, security called to inform her that Nix had left the building. They mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that she had left something on her desk in the employee break room. Curiosity compelled Zara to take the elevator down to the basement level, something she had never done before. The break room was small and utilitarian, a stark contrast to the luxury of the executive floors. On one of the tables lay a folded piece of paper with her name written in elegant script. Zara opened the note with trembling fingers, though she couldn't explain why. Hands were shaking. "Dear Ms. Blackwood," the letter began. "I came to your world with hopes of finding allies, friends, perhaps even something more. My people have been watching Earth for decades, drawn by your species' remarkable capacity for growth and change. We believed that humans might be ready to join the greater community of intelligent life that exists beyond your skies. I took the position in your building to observe, to learn, to understand the hearts of those who lead your civilization. I had hoped to find compassion, wisdom, and the kind of vision that could bridge the gap between our worlds. Instead, I found fear disguised as strength, isolation masquerading as leadership, and a coldness that breaks precious things without recognizing their value. The device I accidentally destroyed was not just technology. It was attempting to decode the messages my people have been sending, hoping to make peaceful contact. In a way, breaking, it was symbolic of the broken communication between our kinds. Leave you with this truth. There are wonders in this universe beyond your imagination, love that transcends the boundaries between species, opportunities for your world that could change everything. But they require an open heart and the courage to see beyond the immediate and the material. I hope someday you will find that courage, Zara Blackwood. The stars are waiting, and so are those of us who believe in the beauty of connection across any distance. With hopes for your world's future, Nix of the Zephyrian Collective. Zara read the letter 3 times before its full meaning sank in. Hands were shaking more violently now as she stared at the words that suggested impossible things. Aliens, peaceful contact, opportunities beyond imagination, and she had just fired their ambassador for breaking a communication device. The irony was so profound it made her laugh, though the sound came out more like a sob. She had spent her entire career building communication systems, dreaming of connecting the world through technology. And when the ultimate communication opportunity had walked into her office, she had destroyed it over a moment of clumsiness. Racing back to her office, Zara grabbed her phone and called security. The woman who was just escorted out? Nix, do you have her address, her contact information? Sorry, Miss Blackwood, came the reply. She never filled out the standard employment forms. No address, no emergency contact. It's like she never existed. Zara sank into her chair, the letter still clutched in her hand. Outside her window, the first stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. For the first time in her life, she looked at them and wondered what was looking back. 3 sleepless nights had passed since Nix vanished from Blackwood Industries, leaving behind only her cryptic letter and Zara's growing obsession with the impossible. Zara found herself standing at her office window at all hours, searching the star-filled sky for answers that seemed just beyond reach. The broken crystal device remained on her desk like a shrine to her mistake. She had forbidden the cleaning staff from touching it, as if the scattered fragments might somehow reveal their secrets if she stared at them long enough. Her employees whispered about her strange behavior, but Zara barely noticed. Her entire world had shifted the moment she read Nix's letter. It's Blackwood, her assistant Jennifer's voice crackled through the intercom. "There's a man here to see you," he says. "It's about the Zephyrian matter." Zara's heart lurched. She had told no one about the letter's contents. Send him in immediately. The man who entered her office was tall and lean, with silver hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. He wore an expensive suit that couldn't quite hide the strange, almost luminescent quality of his skin. When he smiled, Zara noticed his teeth were just slightly too perfect, too white. "Ms. Blackwood," he said, extending his hand. "My name is Orion Vale. I believe we have much to discuss." Zara shook his hand, noting how unnaturally warm his skin felt. "You mentioned Zephyrian. What do you know about that? I know that you met one of our ambassadors, Orion said, settling into the chair across from her desk. I know that she left. Quite an impression, and I know that you're searching for answers that your world isn't ready to provide. Our ambassadors, Zara repeated, her pulse quickening. You're saying you're also Zephyrian, yes. Though I've been on Earth much longer than Nyx. Decades, in fact. Orion's eyes moved to the broken crystal fragments. She told me about the accident. Such a shame. That particular device was key to establishing formal communication protocols. Zara leaned forward, her business instincts warring with her growing fascination. Prove it. Prove you're what you claim to be. Orion smiled and held up his hand. Slowly, his skin began to shimmer, taking on the same pale blue undertone that Zara had noticed in Nyx. His eyes shifted from blue to the same violet she remembered, and for just a moment, the air around him seemed to ripple like water, satisfied. He asked, returning to his human appearance. Zara's world tilted on its axis. Everything she thought she knew about reality crumbled and reformed in an instant. Why are you here? Where is Nyx? Nyx returned to our home vessel to report on her mission, Orion explained. Her assessment was that humans, while possessing remarkable potential, may not be ready for open contact. Your reaction to her small mistake reinforced concerns that Earth's leaders prioritize material concerns over understanding. The words stung because they rang with truth. Zara had spent years building walls around her heart, focusing solely on profit and efficiency. She'd become exactly the kind of person Nyx had found lacking. What would it take? Zara asked quietly. To prove that we're ready? Ryan studied her for a long moment. That depends. What? Are you asking as a CEO protecting her business interests? Or as a human being seeking something greater? The question cut deep. Zara looked at the broken crystal, then at the letter she had read countless times. For the first time in years, she thought about the dreams that had driven her to build her company. She had wanted to connect people too, bridge distances and bring understanding. Somewhere along the way, she had lost sight of that vision. I'm asking as someone who just realized she's been living half a life, Zara said. I want to understand. I want to help if I can. Orion nodded. Slowly. Then perhaps there's hope yet. But I must warn you, the path forward won't be easy. There are factions among my people who view humans as too primitive for contact. They point to Earth's wars, environmental destruction, and social inequities as evidence that your species isn't ready to join the galactic community, and other factions believe that humans possess a spark of something special, a capacity for growth, for love that transcends boundaries, for innovation born from necessity. Orion's expression grew serious. Nyx belongs to that second group. She volunteered for this mission because she believed in humanity's potential. Aujara felt something warm unfurling in her chest. She believed in us even after what I did to her. Aujara, she believed in you especially because of what you did to her, Orion said softly. Your reaction showed her something she needed to see. That humans can change, can grow, can recognize their mistakes, and seek to correct them. I want to apologize to her, Zara said suddenly. I want to make this right. That may be possible, Orion replied. But it would require you to leave Earth, to come to our vessel, and there are risks involved. What kind of risks? Political ones, primarily. There's a faction of Zephyrians led by Commander Vex, who view human contact as contamination. They believe we should either avoid Earth entirely, or take a more aggressive approach to ensuring compliance with galactic law. Aggressive how? Forced compliance. Technological suppression. Some even advocate for population control. Orion's voice grew grave. Vex has been using Earth's violent history as justification for preemptive action, your termination of Nyx. Unfortunately, provided him with fresh ammunition. The weight of responsibility settled on Zara's shoulders like a lead blanket. Her moment of corporate coldness might have endangered her entire planet. What can I do? How do I fix this? Come with me, Orion said simply. Meet with our council. Show them that humans can change, can grow, can be worthy partners instead of problems to be solved. Zara thought about her company, her responsibilities, the life she had built. Then she thought about Nyx's sad smile and the broken crystal that might have changed everything. "When do we leave?" she asked. Orion smiled, and for the first time it reached his strange violet eyes. "Tonight. But I should warn you, Ms. Blackwood. This journey will change you in ways you can't imagine. You may discover truths about yourself and your species that challenge everything you believe," Zara said, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "I'm tired of living in a small world with small dreams." That evening, Zara stood on the roof of her building, waiting for something that defied every rational thought she'd ever had. Orion stood beside her, his human disguise now completely dropped. In his true form, he was breathtakingly alien, yet somehow familiar, as if her soul recognized something kindred in his otherworldly features. "Are you ready?" he asked. As a soft humming filled the air above them, Zara looked up to see lights approaching. Through the clouds, a vessel of impossible beauty that seemed to be made of living starlight. Her old life lay below her in the glittering city, full of meetings and mergers and material concerns that suddenly seemed laughably small. "I'm ready," she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being, as the ship descended to collect them. Zara thought about Nyx, waiting somewhere among the stars. She thought about the apology she needed to make and the bridge she hoped to build between their worlds. Most of all, she thought about the possibility that love and understanding might truly transcend any distance. Even the vast spaces between. The stars, the beam of light that lifted them toward the waiting vessel, felt like coming home to a place she had never been, but had always been searching for. The Zephyrian vessel was nothing like the cold metal ships of human science fiction. As Zara stepped aboard, she found herself in a living space, where walls pulsed gently with bioluminescent patterns and the air itself seemed to sing with harmonious energy. Gardens grew in impossible spirals throughout the corridors, and water flowed upward in crystalline streams that defied gravity. "It's beautiful," Zara whispered, unable to hide her wonder. "Our technology grows rather than builds," Orion explained, as he led her through passages that curved like arteries. He learned long ago that harmony with natural forces creates more stable and sustainable results than domination over them. They passed other Zephyrians in the corridors, beings of ethereal beauty whose skin shimmered with the same pale blue undertones. Some nodded respectfully to Orion, while others regarded Zara with curiosity and barely concealed suspicion. She could feel their thoughts weighing her, measuring her worth as a representative of humanity. "The council chambers are ahead," Orion said softly. "But first, there's someone who wishes to see you." Zara's heart began to race as they approached a door that spiraled open like a flower blooming. Inside, standing before a vast window that showed the curve of Earth below, was Nyx. In her true form, Nyx was even more stunning than she had been in human disguise. Her skin held a subtle luminescence that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat, and her dark hair floated around her shoulders as if she were underwater. When she turned, her violet eyes held depths that seemed to contain entire nebulae. "Zara," she said, and her voice carried harmonics that made Zara's name sound like music. "You came?" "I had to," Zara replied, stepping forward hesitantly. "Needed to apologize. What I did was unforgivable." Nyx moved closer, her expression soft with understanding. "You did what your world taught you to do. Protect your interests, punish mistakes, maintain control. I don't blame you for being what your society created. But that's just it," Zara said, her voice breaking slightly. "I don't want to be that person anymore. Your letter, your words about the stars waiting, made me realize I've been living in a cage of my own making." They stood facing each other in the observation chamber, Earth spinning slowly beyond the transparent wall. The planet looked so small from this distance, so fragile and blue against the vast darkness of space. "There's something you need to know," Nyx said, her voice growing serious. "Commander Vex has convinced a significant portion of our council that humans represent a threat to galactic stability. He's planning to present evidence of human aggression and environmental destruction as justification for intervention." "What kind of intervention?" Zara asked, though she feared the answer. "Technological suppression at minimum. Complete isolation of your solar system at worst." Nyx's eyes filled with sadness. "Some factions even support forced population reduction." to bring human numbers to what they consider manageable levels. The implications hit Zara like a physical blow. Her single moment of corporate coldness hadn't just affected her relationship with Nyx. It had potentially doomed her entire species. "How long do we have?" she asked. "The council convenes in 3 of your hours," Nyx replied. But Zara, there's something else. Something I didn't include in my letter because I wasn't certain of it myself. Nyx moved closer, and Zara could feel the warmth radiating from her luminescent skin. When the Zephyrian woman reached out to touch her face, Zara felt electricity dance along her nerves. "I've been observing humans for months," Nyx continued softly. "But what I found with you was something I didn't expect, something I wasn't prepared." "For what?" Zara whispered, leaning into the touch. "Love," Nyx said simply. "Despite everything, despite the vast differences between our species, despite the circumstances that brought us together, I fell in love with you." The confession hung in the air between them like a bridge spanning impossible distances. Zara felt her heart racing as she realized the truth she had been avoiding since the moment Nyx walked out of her office. "Love you too," she said, the words feeling both foreign and absolutely right on her tongue. "I didn't understand it at first. Thought it was guilt or curiosity. But it's more than that. You showed me what I could be, what humanity could be." They moved together naturally, their lips meeting in a kiss that sent starlight cascading through Zara's veins. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced, as if she were kissing the cosmos itself. When they broke apart, both women were glowing faintly, their energies somehow synchronized. "This complicates things," Nyx said with a soft laugh.
"Our relationships."
"Relationships between species are rare but not unheard of. However, they're also politically significant. Vex will use our connection to claim that I've been compromised, that my judgment about humans can't be trusted. Then we make sure the council sees that our connection is proof of what's possible," Zara said firmly. "We show them that love really can transcend any distance, any difference." Their intimate moment was interrupted by a harsh chiming that echoed through the ship. Orion's voice followed immediately through the communication system. "All hands to battle stations. Commander Vex's faction has launched an unauthorized attack on Earth's communication satellites. They're attempting to force the Council's hand by creating a crisis that demands immediate intervention." Zara felt the blood drain from her face as she watched explosions blossom like deadly flowers around. "There's orbital space. They're attacking my world." "Not attacking directly," Nyx said grimly, pulling up holographic displays that showed the scope of the assault. "But crippling your communication infrastructure will create chaos. Food distribution systems will fail, financial markets will collapse, emergency services will be overwhelmed. It's designed to make Earth look like a failing civilization that needs outside control. We have to stop them," Zara said desperately. "We will," Nyx replied with fierce determination, "but it means going into battle against ships designed for war, not diplomacy. And it means you'll have to address the Council while combat rages around us." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity that tested every limit of Zara's courage and adaptability. She found herself in the Council chambers, a vast amphitheater where beings from across the galaxy gathered to witness humanity's fate being decided. "Commander." Vex was exactly what Zara had expected. Tall, imposing, with skin that pulsed with angry red undertones and eyes like chips of black ice. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of absolute conviction. "Witness the chaos below," he declared, gesturing to holographic displays showing Earth's communication networks failing. "This is what happens when an unstable species gains access to advanced technology. They turn it into weapons they destroy. Their environment, they wage war against their own kind. You've created this chaos," Zara shouted, rising from her designated place. "You attacked our satellites to justify your prejudices?" Vex turned his cold gaze on her. "I merely revealed the truth. Your species' infrastructure is so fragile that a minor disruption creates global crisis. How can such beings be trusted with galactical responsibilities?" "Because we adapt," Zara replied, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. "Because we grow. Because we love fiercely enough to change everything about ourselves when we find something worth changing for." She looked directly at Nyx, who stood. "Among the diplomatic faction, I was exactly what you feared," cold, materialistic, blind to anything beyond immediate profit. But love opened my eyes. One person believing in my potential for something better changed everything I thought I knew about myself. The chamber fell silent as Zara continued. You talk about stability, about control, about managing threats, but you're missing the most important truth about humans. We're not dangerous because we're violent or chaotic. We're dangerous because we're capable of becoming something greater than what we are. And that scares you. Pretty words, Vex sneered. But words won't feed the billions who will starve when your communication systems fail permanently. Then let us fix them, Zara said simply. Work with us instead of against us. Show us how to build better systems, more stable ones, which teach us. Instead of conquering us, and if you fail, if your species proves incapable of change. Zara felt Nyx's love flowing through their connection, giving her strength. Then judge us on our failures, not on your fears. Give us the chance to prove what love can accomplish when it spans the space between stars. The vote was closer than anyone had expected. Fear and caution warred with hope and possibility in the minds of beings who had seen civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy. In the end, it was Nyx's impassioned speech about the transformative power of love that tipped the balance. The council voted to halt Vex's assault and begin formal diplomatic contact with Earth. There would be conditions. Probationary periods, careful monitoring, but there would also be cooperation, teaching, and the chance for humanity to prove itself worthy of the galactic community. As Earth's communication systems were restored with Zephyrian assistance, Zara stood with Nyx in the observation chamber, watching their home planet spin peacefully in the cosmic dark. What happens now? Zara asked, her hand intertwined with Nyx's luminescent fingers.